tonight on First at 9, this Friday the 23rd of August 2024. Tariff relief. Water tariffs revised with effect from the 21st of August. Domestic water tariff reduced by 7%. An election-oriented move. Election watchdogs criticise cabinet decision to raise public sector salaries. Salary hike and subsidies not aimed at elections, clarifies State Minister of Finance. Markets liberalisation. Australia's United Petroleum launches operations in Sri Lanka, the second new entrant to the retail market. Crypto economics. President emphasises the need for developing a digital economy as a crucial pillar for Sri Lanka's overall economic growth.
ඔබේ විශ්වාසය දිනු සෙන්සුරයින් දැන් ළඟම ඇති ෆාමසියෙන් ලබාගත හැක.
This is Derana First at 9 with Indivadi Amuata. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
And a very warm welcome. You're joining us on your primetime English news service here at Derana 24. And we take you straight to your top stories and developing story. Election as Sri Lanka decides on the 21st of September. Election watchdogs, including the People's Action for Free and Fair Elections, raised concern over the government increasing public sector salaries during the election period and claimed that the move is an attempt to breach and bribe voters ahead of the election. State Minister of Finance Ranjit Siyamalapitiya, who refuted these claims and allegations, clarified that the salary hike was implemented to address the increased cost of living and not politically motivated. The Election Commission meanwhile stated that it will investigate the matter and take measures to postpone the implementation of state sector salary hike if it is found to be in breach of election regulations. The Commission also assured that the Supreme Court's verdict on the local government elections will not affect the presidential polls.
The government yesterday decided to increase the basic salaries of public service professionals by up to 50% starting in January next year. Additionally, cabinet approval was granted to provide fertilizer at concessionary rates for tea growers, financial subsidies for paddy and other cultivations, and fuel allowances for the fisheries industry. Against this backdrop, the People's Action for Free and Fair Elections stated that the government granting these subsidies and salary hikes at a time when a presidential election has been called is an attempt to bribe the voters.
What we observe is that the government is utilizing its authority to directly bribe the voters ahead of the election. Yesterday, they proposed another salary hike of 25 to 50% for the public sector. The government, which 2 months ago refused to provide a 10,000 allowance, is now increasing salaries. Furthermore, they are providing various subsidies such as increasing pensions, concessions on fertilizer prices, and fuel subsidies for fishermen. As election observers, we are not against granting subsidies. The next government can implement this process. However, there is doubt as to whether the economy is strong enough to bear this strain. However, what we clearly see is that granting these salary hikes and subsidies at this time is an attempt by the government to bribe the voters.
However, State Minister of Finance Ranjit Siyamalapitiya, who refutes this claim, stated that the salary hikes and subsidies were granted to address the economic challenges faced by the public and not to secure votes.
Despite what anyone may suggest, these are not election promises. This is a program that was approved by the Cabinet. These proposals were only approved by Cabinet after they were reviewed by the Ministry of Finance, the Department of State Budget and the Ministry of Public Administration. Furthermore, they were prepared in consultation with the subject ministries such as the Ministry of Fisheries in the case of fuel subsidies for fishermen, the Ministry of Agriculture for agricultural subsidies and the Ministry of Plantation Industries for concessions on fertilizer prices. All of these were the result of extensive planning and definite timelines were set for their implementation before they were approved by Cabinet. They are not merely promises made on election stages in the hope of securing votes. They are active subsidies grant under definite framework and have been specifically managed.
Meanwhile, during a media briefing today, Commissioner General of Elections Saman Sriratnayaka was questioned about the validity of salary hikes and subsidies being granted during the election period.
We saw the current government continuing to grant subsidies to the public. Fishermen were granted fuel allowances and fertilizer is being provided at concessionary rates. Yesterday, it was decided to provide a salary hike for employees in the public service. Other candidates are raising objections that this is being carried out targeting the elections and that it grants an unfair advantage to one candidate. What is the Election Commission's opinion on this issue?
If the Commission finds that these actions are being used to promote a specific candidate, it will make the necessary interventions and postpone the implementation of these processes.
The Commissioner General of Elections also stated that the order issued to the Election Commission yesterday by the Supreme Court to conduct the local government elections as soon as possible will not interfere with the presidential election.
Clearly, the presidential election must be held first. The dates for the presidential post cannot be altered. There is no alternative for the office of president. However, local government bodies continue to function despite the local government elections not being held. Therefore, at this moment, the presidential election will be prioritized. Pursuant to the Supreme Court verdict, the Election Commission will have to conduct the local government election. No, the nomination will not be cancelled. The nominations that were accepted for the local government elections in 2023 will be utilised.
In the meantime, A. Mohammed Ilyas, who was contesting the 2024 presidential election as an independent candidate, passed away last night at the age of 79. He reportedly passed away due to a sudden illness while receiving treatment at Puttalam Base Hospital. Ilyas, who previously served as a Member of Parliament during the government of former President Chandrika Bandaranayake Kumaratunga, had submitted nominations to contest the presidential poll for the fourth time after also being a candidate in 2010, 2015 and 2019.
Another person will be named in his place and they will contest under the same symbol. However, the new candidate's name will not be printed on the ballot papers as the printing of the postal ballots as well as all other documents necessary for the election is nearly completion.
Horizon Campus 2024 Intake 2. Register now.
Crunchy goodness for hunger on the go.
President Ranil Wickremesinghe questioned the ability of presidential candidates Anura Kumara Dissanayake and Sajith Premadasa to govern a country, highlighting that both turned a blind eye when the people faced hardships due to the economic crisis. Addressing a rally in Batticaloa, the president noted that Sri Lanka will lose foreign funding if the terms and conditions in the IMF agreement are breached.
An election campaign rally under the theme Puluwan Sri Lanka, pledging support to President Ranil Wickremesinghe, was held this afternoon in Eravur in Batticaloa.
ඉන්ධන දුන්නා බේත් තියනවා උවමනා බඩු භාණ්ඩේ තියනවා ආර්ථිකය දැන් ආපහු දියුණු වෙනවා.
We now have fuel, medicine and other essential items. The economy is developing. There is business because the tourists are arriving. The prices of goods have decreased. Who can create wealth like this? Who is capable of increasing the gross domestic product? Can Sajith or Anur do that? No, they can't. Why are they contesting? They should stay at home instead of wasting time. Can they govern a country? They ran away when the people were suffering. However, I accepted responsibility because the people were suffering. I took over the responsibility of the government. They accuse me of betrayal. What can I do? Why didn't these leaders join me? Do they have a problem with the people? Have the people done anything wrong to Sajith or Anura? They did not think about all of you. Instead, they thought about themselves. They thought that it was impossible to achieve this task and that they would lose their reputation. What happened was that we achieved that task and as a result, they lost their reputation. Are they worthy of claiming votes? The policy to cremate instead of burial affected the Muslim community. To avoid such instances, I will introduce a new law. Based on their personal wishes, the people can either cremate, bury or donate the remains to a medical college. This will be presented to the cabinet next week. Thereafter, it will be gazetted. I will appoint a committee to compensate those who were affected by this issue. This took place during the tenure of the former government. However, this government is ready to apologize to the Muslim community. Will both Sajith and Anwar do that? They will not. We have a long way to go. This is just the beginning. We have 2 or 3 years ahead of us. We need more funds. We have negotiated funds from the IMF and 17 countries including China. We have arrived at an agreement. We will not receive funds if we breach that agreement. However, both Anura and Sajid Premadasa said that they would amend the agreement. What are its consequences? The rupee will depreciate to a maximum of 400 rupees. Think about your future. Please cast your vote for the gas cylinder in order to protect your future.
රුපියල ආපහු 370ට යනවා භාගවලට 400ට යයි. ගඟට වැටිලා මැරෙන්න ගිය මිනිහා බේරලා ගම් ඉවුර ගෙනාම ආපහු අපි ගඟට පයින්නවද? ඒකනේ කියන්නේ. ඔබේ අනාගතය ගැන හිතන්න. ඒක ආරක්ෂා කරන්න ගෑස් සිලින්ඩරයට ඡන්ද දෙන්න කියලා මං කියනවා.
Crunchy goodness for hunger on the go.
චන්දුරුසුමේ කාගෙත් මන අපේ සිග TV සඳහා සුපිරි ඩීල්.
Parliamentarian of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, Dushmantha Mitrapala, and parliamentarian Angajan Ramanathan declared their support to President Ranil Wickremesinghe ahead of the presidential elections. They state that the decision was taken as they did not wish to interfere with the progress made in the country's development. The two MPs are of the view that President Wickremesinghe's administration is the most suited to direct the country's future development.
Parliamentarians of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, Dushmantha Mitrapala and Angajan Ramanathan, met with President Ranil Wickremesinghe at his political office on Flower Road and extended him their support in the upcoming presidential election.
We firmly believe that President Ranil Wickremesinghe is the ideal leader for the country, especially when the country is beginning to stabilize after the hardships people faced. We will provide the necessary support for President Ranil Wickremesinghe, and we do not expect to interfere with the progress that has been made in developing the country's development.
The country's economy was granted breathing space due to proper administration during the last 2 years. With this administration, we believe that we can make this country's situation better within the next 5 years. And with that trust, we will support the President as the Sri Lanka Freedom Party.
Sajid Premadasa, the presidential candidate of the Samagi Jana Balawegaya, pledged to increase basic salaries of state employees by 24% starting from January 2025. Addressing a rally in Varakapala, Premadasa stated that a government under his leadership will also take steps to reduce income tax from the current 36% to 24%.
Another election rally of the presidential candidate of the Samagi Jana Balawegaya, opposition leader Sajid Premadasa, was held in Varakapala this afternoon.
The leftist socialist camp JVP is now acknowledging that their ideologies have failed. They recognize that the world has changed and they claim they are changing as well. This shift is remarkable. Despite previously opposing foreign investments, they now advocate for increasing foreign direct investments.
A few months ago, they were attempting to curtail the state workforce. Now they are engaged in a campaign of empty promises. We promise to establish a commission and implement its recommendations to revise state workers' salaries to match the cost of living. Starting in January 2025, we pledge to increase the basic salaries of state workers by 24%. Additionally, we will raise the cost of living allowance from 17,500 to 25,000. Measures will also be taken to ensure a minimum total salary of 57,500, including all allowances. While keeping the tax-exempted salary levels unchanged, we will decrease the monthly income tax rates from the current 6 to 36% range to 1 to 24%.
Presidential candidate of National People's Power Anurakumara Dissanayake vows that Sri Lanka will be a country that adapts with the modern world while protecting the essence of Sri Lanka's rich culture and history under a NPP-led government. He made these remarks during a meeting with the Buddhist clergy in Maharagama today.
The leader and presidential candidate of the National People's Power, Anurakumara Dissanayake, participated in a discussion with the Buddhist clergy in Maharagama today, which was organized by the National Bhikkhu Front.
The past governments and leaders of this country have always focused on triumphing over their opposition. A government which was built to oppose others will never bring harmony to the country. One of our key responsibilities will be forming a government that will bring everyone together in harmony. We should do this at least once in Sri Lanka. Many individuals ask me if we plan to remove the Article 9 of the Constitution which deals with Buddhism. The National People's Power does not aim to create a country that has lost touch with its roots. We think about how we should proceed towards the future while protecting the essence of the strong foundation. We have two paths to choose. One is where we will keep reminiscing about the past. I think the majority of the leaders prefer to do that. However, there is another path we can choose. That is the path of creating a country that modernizes with future technology while protecting the essence of its history. Should we choose the first path or the second path? We try our best to choose the second path. The National People's Power's expectation is to build a Sri Lanka society where we will adapt with modern technology and protect the foundations of the past.
ඉදිරියට යන දියුණු ශ්‍රී ලාංකීය ජාතියක් නිර්මාණය කිරීම තමයි ජාතික ජනබලවේගයේ අපේක්ෂාව.
Presidential candidate of the Sarva Janabala Alliance, Dilip Jayavira, says their strategic plan is unique compared to programs presented by other candidates contesting the presidential poll. Addressing a meeting in Colombo, Jayavira was of the view that most business chambers in Sri Lanka face issues due to the government's lack of a long-term vision.
The presidential candidate of the Sarva Janabala, Dilip Jayavira, yesterday participated in the monthly meeting of the National Chamber of Exporters. During the meeting, the policy manifesto of the chamber was presented to Dilip Jayavira. In turn, Jayavira presented the strategic plan of his alliance to the National Chamber of Exporters.
We are a huge force today and we are challenging the big boys on a platform that cannot be compared with any of the candidates today who are contesting. None of those candidates have to date given their policy documents. Some are given ad hoc documents here and there. Even if they give a policy document, they will not be able to match our strategic plan. This plan came from the people, from the academics, from the people of the industry. And then we prepared the first draft, went back to the people. Then we prepared the second draft now. The second draft is being presented to people like you all, organizations and academics, and to get your feedback and to incorporate that into our final strategic plan, which will tackle not just what, how, when, and what if it's not done also. As far as exporters are concerned, I must say each and every industry has very similar issues. All the chambers whom we meet face one big problem. That is due to the fact that government, or the state for that matter, does not have a plan. That comes, the way we observe, is due to the fact that all the developed countries, their state, the mindset is entrepreneurial. When the state is of an entrepreneurial mind, every action that they take, every act that they pass, every decision that they take is entrepreneurially driven. So what we say is, if the state does not have the entrepreneurial mind, the country can't ever have an entrepreneurial mindset, or the people. So that's our principal offer. We believe a state should be with an entrepreneurial mindset. It is no way possible for us to take one industry and tackle. It is no way that we can say that we will solve like issues that you are facing by solving that each and every issue at hand separately. Our cry is to understand this from a larger perspective and let us discuss. I know we are a very political country. Here maybe all of you guys may be having your political preferences, but what we say is at least listen to us and let's discuss this strategic plan, and your probably loyalties can still be there, and push this narrative. Don't just talk crap. Let's discuss facts.
Star dishwasher Dali Hell Indul පහසුවෙන් සේදේ. Star dishwasher magic tub එක.
Welcome back. President Ranil Wickremesinghe says the proposed Digital Transformation Agency and the Centre for AI will play key roles in driving Sri Lanka's technological advancement. Addressing an event in Battaramulla, the President said the government's goal is to develop a $15 billion digital economy as part of their broader vision for an $85 billion economy by 2050.
A meeting of professionals in the IT sector was held in Battaramulla yesterday under the patronage of President Ranil Wickremesinghe. State Minister of Technology Kanaka Herath also graced the occasion.
We've developed a robust 7-year strategy to build a $15 billion digital economy by 2030. This is a long-term action plan done in collaboration with the industry experts and the World Bank. We've taken the next step by introducing the Technology Promotion Act aligned with the President's vision for Digital First Sri Lanka. This is with the Attorney General, and upon clearance we will present this to Parliament and make this the law of our country. We will also establish the Technology and Innovation Council, which will oversee the Digital Transformation Agency and giving directions, guidance to the research and development centers in the country. This will be the final act that we need to make the Digital First Sri Lanka a reality. And I trust that our digital strategy has already been copied by NPP, but in SNP. And the SJB's digital policy is a direct reproduction of India's stack. The other parties are trying to follow the footstep of the President's vision.
I didn't think we could afford the luxury of having an anarchy of local authority election. We did not have a local authority election because we had no money. What we have to do as a country is to ensure the people can eat, people can live, and the economy moves. We came to an agreement. Let's look at technology, embrace technology, and make that one of the fundamental pillars of our economic transformation. So we have under our Science and Technology Act, the National Science Foundation, and we use that to support research in pure sciences. Institutes need for monies for research will go through this, and then the government will have a better control of research that's been done in our own institutions. But the second one, which is basically geared to the market for commercially driven research, and not only will we fund it, but we will ask for a cut on it to ensure that you all become successful. The Digital Transformation Agency, and finally the Center for AI. These are the three new institutions, as we mentioned, to fund commercial research to be carried out by you. The human resource that are needed here more than anything. Secondly, we need the $15 billion digital economy to start. By mid-century, at least we should become a $350 billion economy. We can go more. Remember, next to us is South India, Tamil Nadu, Bangalore, Karnataka and Telangana, Andhra. All very highly developed states as far as technology is concerned. So let's join that. We must live in the present. So let's use our technology. We will come as one of the leaders, or at least a front runner. To move the economy, we have to move all of you. So we are ready to go along with you.
Well, Minister of Power and Energy Kanchana Wijayasekara says that the government is committed to creating a conducive environment to attract foreign investments to Sri Lanka. He made these comments during an event that saw the launch of Australia's United Petroleum in operations in the Sri Lankan retail market.
Australia's United Petroleum, the largest foreign firm to enter the fuel market, was officially launched in Sri Lanka yesterday. With the launch, United Petroleum became the fourth retail operator to enter the Sri Lankan fuel market after Lanka IOC, Sinopec and RM Parks Shell.
We wanted in Sri Lanka to attract investments, attract the right people. So we had to put a framework in. Most importantly, the framework that we put in Sri Lanka was under the leadership of President Ranil Wickremesinghe, was to make sure that there's a safer environment for the investors, that the investors would also have some sort of return on their investment, and the investment is secured. The new laws that have been now begun to be enacted to have a separate regulator for the energy sector, especially the petroleum sector, so that the quality, the pricing and also other services are maintained by the regulator, making sure that not just the operators but the consumers are also protected. You will start with 150 fuel stations, and also we have extended the facility for you to go up to 50 more additional fuel stations. In the future, when the demand is there, when the requirements are there, you can expand your operations going beyond the 200 fuel station mark in the future.
I see this as a win-win outcome for the Australian investor and for the Sri Lankan government, and of course for the Sri Lankan consumer. It was not all that long ago that we saw fuel shortages and fuel queues here in Sri Lanka, and I think the opening of the petroleum market, including of course through the arrival of United Petroleum, should help to ensure that those sorts of shortages and the queues will never be seen again. So I commend the Sri Lankan government for its economic reform program.
Welcome back. A gazette was issued revising water tariffs effective from the 21st of August. The gazette follows the recent cabinet approval for a proposal by the National Water Supply and Drainage Board to reduce water tariffs based on the tariff formula. With the new revision, domestic water tariffs have been reduced by 7%.
Following the electricity tariff reduction earlier this year, the Cabinet of Ministers also approved a water tariff reduction of up to 10% under a cost-reflective tariff formula. According to the new Gazette notification, household water tariffs, excluding those for Samurdhi recipients and tenement gardens, have been reduced by 7% under the new tariff formula. The usage charge per unit has been reduced by 10 rupees for the first 40 units in the domestic category. For 41 to 75 units, the charge per unit has been reduced by 15 rupees, and for 76 to 100 units and beyond, the reduction is 20 rupees. However, the monthly service charge for this category remains unchanged. Water tariffs for government and assisted schools as well as approved charitable institutions have also been reduced by 6.3%. For usage between 0 to 75 units, the fee per unit has been decreased from 60 rupees to 55 rupees, while the monthly service charge remains unchanged. Water tariffs for government hospitals have been lowered by 4.5%. The usage charge unit from 0 to 20,000 units and beyond has been reduced by 5 rupees to 95 rupees, while keeping monthly service charge unchanged. The revised water tariffs will be effective retrospectively from the 21st of August. No revisions have been made for other categories.
And that wraps up tonight's edition of First at 9. I'm Indivari Amwatha. Good night.